Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renee Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast. If this is your very first time listening to this podcast, congratulations. Thank you. I'm so excited that you're here. You have reached a podcast where we document the fans of our favorite band, which is Dave Matthews Band. If you've never heard of Dave Matthews Band, they started in 1991 in Charlottesville, Virginia, and they are still making music now here in 2026. This year, we celebrate 35 years of them making music, and celebrate we will. We are so excited to still have our favorite band playing all of the music that we love. So this podcast documents the fans behind the band. In every episode, I have a fan of Dave Matthews Band join the show to tell their story, their why. Why do they listen to Dave Matthews Band? What struck them when they found the music? And why do they continue to seek out those songs by Dave Matthews Band? So this show is like every other episode. And hey guys, there's over 200 episodes of the Space Between Podcast, and there is no right or wrong way to listen to this podcast. You can pick up at episode 25 or 125, or just go straight to this one. There's no particular order. Each story is completely different. As I said earlier, a different fan on every episode sharing their story. So I have a guest, of course, on this show. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Tell us who you are, where in the world are you, and just tell us something cool about you.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me today. My name is John Bertollo. I am located in Fairfield, New Jersey. Geographically, I'm sure a lot of you who know the East Coast or know New Jersey have heard of Newark, New Jersey. We're like 15 or 20 minutes away from Newark. So just geographically kind of put yourself there. I guess just a fun fact about myself to kind of get us started. So I am married and have 3 children. We were both social studies teachers when we began our careers. So all 3 of our children are named after U.S. presidents.
Oh, that's really cool. Please tell me what they are, if that's okay.
Yep. So my oldest is a 12-year-old boy named Jackson.
Love it.
My middle is an 8-year-old daughter named McKinley. And my youngest is 3. He's going to be 4 in 2 weeks. And his name is Carter. Now there's a little controversy around the third child.
Bet.
Depending on who we speak with and who we tell our story, my wife will say that Carter is named after President Jimmy Carter. And I will tell people that Carter is obviously named after Carter Beauford. And just to add more to the fire, his middle name is David. So he's Carter Dayton.
He's a DMB child for sure.
He is, for sure. He doesn't have a choice.
No. One day he'll realize. And that honestly, that'll be kind of cool, like a segue to tell him, hey, there's this band, Dave Matthews Band. If he doesn't already know, do you share, or does your wife enjoy the music of Dave Matthews Band?
So unfortunately, she does not. We have a lot of things in common. We have a lot of likes and dislikes that are similar. Unfortunately, the Dave Matthews Band is not one of the things that we enjoy together.
Yeah, and that's okay.
I have taken her to 2 shows. I thought that would be an opportunity to kind of expose her to seeing them live, because it's very different when you listen to their album versus actually seeing them in person and feeling the energy and all that. I thought for sure that would sway her, and unfortunately it did not. My first attempt was at Hershey Park in maybe like 2013, 2012.
Wow.
I tricked her by saying, hey, let's go to Hershey Park for the day. For those of you not familiar with Hershey Park, it's a big theme park. So I thought for sure that was an easy way to get her to do something fun. And then we went to the concert that night and she did not enjoy it.
Oh, no.
So the history side of me thought, okay, well, let's look at Saratoga Springs. There's the Revolutionary War sites and all that. So I took her to do all the sightseeing and all the Revolutionary War sites. And then I said, well, hey, the SPAC is right here. Why don't we go to a Dave Matthews concert? So we did it, and I was 0 for 2. So,
No.
Chrissy, I love you, but we do not share the same joy of Dave Matthews Band.
Right. What kind of music does she like? What's her go-to?
He likes country music.
Country music.
And,
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, and there's times on the side where I used to listen to country music a lot.
Yeah.
I used to listen to like Tim McGraw and Miranda Lambert and Kenny Chesney and all those guys. I mean, I still do. When she plays them in the radio, I'll listen to them. But she's very much into country, and I'm very much focused on Dave Matthews.
Question: does she like Lucas Nelson?
She does, which is a great segue.
Yes, there we go. 2 degrees of separation, right? Like it's just right there. And what about your kids? Have they heard about this band?
Well, they have to.
Yeah.
It's on the call. Whenever I drive them somewhere, it's always playing on the radio. That's pretty much the only reason I have a Sirius XM subscription, is so that I could have the Dave Matthews radio playing all the time.
Yes, exactly.
But in my house, so you'll notice behind me, there's a lot of Yankee pictures. I'm very OCD. So different rooms in our house have different themes. So,
I love that.
So the staircase going from our second floor down to our basement is all my Dave Matthews stuff. So my posters, set lists, all that stuff are all in the staircase there. So whenever the kids come downstairs, they have to see it. They walk right past all that stuff. So.
And surely they think it's a little cool. I mean, they have come out with the artists that create for Dave Matthews Band, there's some solid art, and it can be whimsical. It can be kind of scary or haunting. It can be funny. It can be interesting. Like there's no set way that these artists do it. And so the art itself is just, it's amazing. And, speaking of DMB posters, I'm going to do a little plug because I just thought of it as we're speaking of posters. There's actually another DMB podcast called Posters in Every Direction. And that is what they talk about, are the artists that create for not only Dave Matthews Band, but for Goose as well. And a lot of times they have those artists on the show to talk about why they created the art that they did at certain venues. And so something cool to check out that you may not have known of, but really cool things happening in the Dave community. Well, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Like I told you earlier, this podcast doesn't work without fans of the Dave Matthews Band. This podcast, I've shared my story. You are now sharing your story, and how it keeps going is for people to continue to come in and share their story so that we can make sure that the fans of Dave Matthews Band are well documented for when we no longer have this band. No one knows how much time we have, right? No one knows. And so document while we're still getting the thing that we love. And of course, we'll document after too, because there'll be so many things to say after. Thank you so much for being willing to be on the show. We're going to talk about your life and of course how you found Dave Matthews Band. So take us back to whatever your first memory of hearing the name of Dave Matthews Band was.
So growing up in New Jersey, our big radio station around here is Z100 New York. And when I was growing up, I would say even elementary school, middle school, I didn't really hear Dave Matthews played on the radio that much. I would say every once in a while, if you put on 95.5 PLJ, you might hear Ants Marching, or you might hear one of those. But Z100 very rarely played Dave Matthews, at least to my memory.
Right.
When I got to high school, I had a friend, Ryan Peen. Shout out to Ryan. He's the person who got it all started for me. I was a sophomore in high school, and we were sitting at lunch one day talking about music that we listened to. And he said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this band, Dave Matthews Band?" And I was like, "I think so." And I was like, "Is that the Ants Marching group?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, well, I've heard that song, but I've never heard any of their other music before." So he said, "Well, they have a concert coming up in the spring at Giant Stadium, and do you want to go?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never really heard of them before. I'll give it a shot. Why not?" And he was like, "Well, here's a CD." Yeah. So he gave me a CD of mixed songs of theirs from all different albums. I listened and I was like, "Oh, I kind of like this. I'll go to the concert with you." So Giant Stadium is no longer in existence. It's now MetLife Stadium. They knocked down Giant Stadium probably 10 years ago. But May of 1999 was my first Dave Matthews Band concert at Giant Stadium. Santana was the opening act, which was really cool because that alone was a draw for me. I was like, "Oh, I'll go see Carlos Santana, and then I could see Dave Matthews Band. That's cool. I'm hooked." So I went to see it, and the first song I ever heard live was One Sweet World. And I guess like a fun side fact, I know you could find these concerts pretty much anywhere now, but I have every Dave Matthews concert that I've been to, I have it downloaded and saved, and I burn them onto CDs. So that way, years and years from now, if technology ever changes, I have the hard copies of all these concerts that I've been to.
Wow.
So every
Wow,
once in a
that's
while, I go back and listen to this first concert. But the intro to One Sweet World, which they don't do that often anymore, but as they're playing into it, it was like an automatic hook. I fell in love with them that second and have not looked back.
wow. Do
Yeah,
you know what
it
it
was
was? Can you pinpoint, like, what was it? Like, because what were you listening to before this all happened?
just whatever was on Z100. I didn't have like
Okay.
a set group that I was following at the time. There wasn't like one favorite, but obviously
Uh-huh.
in New Jersey, you have to listen to Bon Jovi. You have to listen to Bruce Springsteen, even though they're a
Yes.
little bit older. Like that's what you hear in New Jersey. People listen to that stuff
Sure.
all the time. So I had seen Bon Jovi in concert a bunch of times and Bruce Springsteen. Somehow looking back at old concert stubs, the very first concert I ever went to was New Kids on the Block. I have no idea
Yes.
happened because I think I was
Yeah.
6 years when it
Because you
happened.
had good taste.
Yeah. Somehow I have an older sister. She's
Yeah,
5 years
I'm
old
pretty
older
sure
than me,
that was it.
Danielle. But I'm sure somehow I got duped into going with that. So I saw New Kids
Dude,
on the
I
Block
thought I was going to
before.
marry Joe McIntyre. I really did. I thought I was going to marry that man. It didn't. It didn't happen.
I don't know. It was just the intro to One Sweet World, the dun, 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 and I was like, this sounds awesome. This is so cool. And then
Yeah.
as the show went on, like just the energy of the crowd, and you could tell how much fun they were having on stage. And like this was the original group. This was Leroy.
Yes.
This was Boyd. I think Butch Taylor was there probably. He seemed to
Yes.
do a
In
lot of the
99,
shows
he
early
was. Yes.
time period. So you could just tell like they were enjoying their time on the stage. You can tell on a day when there's an artist that's just checking it in. You're like, this is
Hmm.
going to be a long concert. This one, you like, there's no doubt they were having the time of their lives.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So you go to your first concert and you really love it. So what do you do after that? Do you automatically start collecting CDs? Like, what's the next step for you in your
Yep.
fanhood once you've
Yep.
decided you love them?
I went back to my friend Ryan and I was like, give me a copy of every piece of Dave Matthews stuff you have. So he probably gave me all the couple albums they had up to that point. It was right after Before These Crowded Streets came out.
Uh-huh.
So he gave me their first couple albums. I think he probably had a live album or two somewhere. So I just started doing a lot of research and listening to as many songs of theirs as I possibly could.
Yes.
That summer, I think I burned out my Before These Crowded Streets CD. I think I had to go buy a second because every summer we used to go down to Wildwood as a family and we would just lay on the beach. And I think I listened to that album on repeat probably for the week and a half that we were down at Wildwood. So
Wow.
I don't think I listened to anything else for a week. I think that was it. I just listened to
Wow.
that album over and over again.
I bet you
And
know
I,
every word to every song, though.
yeah, that album is my favorite. But I don't know if it's just because that's when I first started getting into them, but
Yeah.
of the songs on that album, like there's just almost every song on there I fall in love with when I hear them. They're
It's
so
so
good.
good. It's
Yeah.
so good. I would
Mm.
say the same about every single album, but yes, it's so good. So
Uh,
what's next in your history timeline? Like you love them, you're really getting to know the band. You're listening to it constantly, you're digesting it. Now, your story is kind of interesting because you really experienced the band kind of first-ish, even though you had heard it a little bit from some music your friend gave you. You went to a live concert very early in your fanhood. And
yep.
often people do quite the opposite, right? We're listening to it, and then later on we go to a live show. And for those of you that don't know, their live performances and their studio albums, you could listen to the same two songs like once on live in concert, and then listen to that same song on the studio album, and it's going to feel very different. It's the same
Oh yeah.
song, same words, but it's put together completely different. That was something for you, that was a little opposite of everyone else. When did you really kind of catch on to that? Like that, hey, well, I remember this song being played, but it didn't quite sound like their album.
I think it was probably that summer as I was listening to some of the stuff that my friend had given me
Mm-hmm.
because I only had one experience now of hearing them live. So trying to remember what a lot of it sounded like, but then having some of the previous recordings and things, getting an opportunity
Right.
to listen. album versus live. And I think that was where I fell in love with them and said, I have to see these guys again. Like it's
Yes.
now the summer of 99. I don't know if they did a spring or like a winter tour or a spring tour that year. I do know for sure that Listener Supported happened sometime right after that. It was September of 1999. And somehow that flew right off my radar as a 16-year-old kid in high school. I didn't know that concert was happening. And
Yeah.
it happened at the Meadowlands, the Continental Arena, which is right next door to Giant Stadium. So it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, I don't know how I missed it. Somehow I did, but I would have loved to obviously have followed up that concert in 99 with Listener
Sure.
Supported. And now every time
So
I
many
listen
of
to
us
that
wish we were
CD, I'm
there.
like, man, I could have been there. That could have been me in the crowd, but that's okay. I've had a lot of good experiences since then.
Of course, of course. That was an amazing show. And,
Mhm.
that's on, you can watch it, you can hear it. It's very well documented. That show was amazing. And,
Mhm.
just that time frame, 99 going into the early 2000s, every decade is beautiful. Every decade is very different for this band, in my opinion. But you found them at a really great time, a
Yep.
really great time. They were really sure about themselves and, really growing into the sound that would, continue for basically ever because it's still happening.
What's
So what
fascinating about that time frame too is that they were not on the radio that often, as I said before, but
isn't that
yet
amazing?
Yet leading into those couple years, the first few years I saw them, my first 8 shows that I saw Dave Matthews Band, 6 of them were at Giant Stadium. There
Oh,
had to
wow.
be 60,000 people at every show. It was a giant football stadium. So it
Wow.
just shows you the power of the band that without even being on mainstream radio that often or having that power behind them, that they still sold out these giant football stadiums every
Yes.
year for 3 years in a
Yes.
row. By 2001, I saw them 3 nights in a row at Giant Stadium, and all 3 nights were sold out. So, like,
Yes.
that's big time.
It's
That's like Taylor
wild.
Swift, right? Taylor Swift is
Yeah.
selling out full stadiums easily. That was Dave Matthews
Yes.
Band in 2000, 2001.
That's wild. And then
Yeah.
people, that may not be really into the history of the band, the way that they got popular, if you will, was not with the radio. It
Mhm.
was just exactly like what your friend did. He passed you a CD. And it was very
Yep.
grassroots movement of how they got to their listeners was just people telling people. And, Dave himself will even tell that story that, it was the fans that really pushed it out to their friends and said, "Hey man, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this." And more times than not, people that listened to it really wanted more of what they heard. How can I
Yep.
get more of that? And I find that time frame, of course, especially mid 90s, how people were I can't remember exactly what it's called, but like they would put postage on an envelope and mail it to someone with the hopes that they were going to get something back. And there just was so much trading going on. And that's how people really got their music. And so it's such a fascinating tale to even talk about that because now we look at how music really gets to people. There's so many different things now, right? Like
Oh,
social
yeah.
media, the internet in general really changed everything. But going back to those times, there was none of those things for us. We helped spread the word. And that was how Dave Matthews Band really got out into the universe. Well, that's how the fans got us out. Their music is what sold it, of course, that the
Right.
music was impeccable. It still is. And it's just fascinating to hear how in the world that they really kind of spread all over the world was just by the
Mhm.
fans. I think that's completely fascinating.
Yep. 1,000% agreed.
Yeah. So what's next in your history? Where do you go from there? You're loving them. You've seen them. You said 6 times at one place.
Yeah.
What
So
keeps you
overall,
going? I mean, why keep seeing them?
yeah. So overall, I'm currently at 126 shows.
Oh my goodness. That's
I'm
a
doing
lot.
pretty good for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fascinating though. It's like when you go speed dating, right?
Yes.
People are like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And you have a conversation with them real quick about what you do. The first thing that comes out of people's mouth at Dave Matthews concert is like, what show is this for you?" So it's like trading cards.
Yes.
It's a lot of there's I'm fascinated by the people that are like, "This is my 300th show." And I'm like,
Yeah. Or
"Bro, how do
500.
you get
My
to
goodness.
300
Like, how
shows?
are you
That's
doing
amazing."
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I'm very happy with where I'm at right now. The
You
one thing
should
you
be.
said before that struck with me, I actually wrote it down. I have notes for today so I don't miss
I
anything.
love it.
The one thing that my goal was always to get to 100 shows. And then after that, I want to treat every show like it's the last time I'm ever going to hear them live, because I
Yeah.
feel like there's times where you kind of get in your own way. You're like, oh, I have so many things to do at home, so many things to do for work. And like you're at a show, but like, how do you turn off all the outside noise? So I think that's something that always sticks with me when I go to a show. I don't care how bad the day was at work, if there's issues at home, if I got cut off on the way driving to the concert. Like, I really let all that stuff go and just sit back and really enjoy what's going on in front of
Yes.
you. Because you
Yes.
said before, you never know when they're going to turn it in, right? No
That's
one
right.
expected, no one expected that show to be Leroy's last show. So you
That's
just never
right.
really know when something's going to go down. So
Yeah.
I really do try to take in every show as like it's its last.
That's great
So
advice. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. So as I'm going through my tour here, I'll hit a couple milestones. I feel like that's good sticking points for us.
Yes.
My 25th show was my one and only trip to out to the Gorge.
Oh,
It
wow.
happened in 2004. So it was a long time ago. It was 22 years ago.
But what a magical year. 2004,
Yeah.
2005 were some of my greatest years.
Yes. Yep. And for those of you who have never been to the Gorge, I know people talk about it as the Mecca. It's highly recommended to go. Um, I talk to people all the time who've gone recently, and their experiences are similar, but also very different because the place has changed a lot over the years. I just remember a 6-hour flight from New Jersey to Seattle, renting a car and driving 2 hours from Seattle to Washington, having an awesome 3 shows, and then driving 2 hours back and 6 hours back to New Jersey. So from the East Coast, it's definitely a trek, but
Yes.
it's well worth it. They obviously put on amazing shows there every year. So it's, if you've never been
Did
to the
it live
Gorge.
up to what everybody, and who told you? How did you find out about the gorge? Like, what was your interest in going?
So my friend Sean, who was my best man at my wedding, he was also into Dave Matthews Band. He's a little bit older than me. We didn't go to high school together. He actually grew up in Massachusetts. We found our path together in New Jersey. We both worked at a Boys and Girls Club, but he was very much into Dave Matthews Band as well. And he had always talked about this place that he heard about called the Gorge. And I was like, what is that? And he explained it's this beautiful natural amphitheater, and we found pictures online, and we were really excited by it. And we were like, screw it, let's just give it a shot. Let's go one year. So we
Yeah.
did. And it was awesome. It was just it's a cool place to go see them. I
Do
wish I
you
remembered more
remember?
about the trip. Like
Oh, I
22 years
bet.
ago was a long
That
time.
was a very long time ago.
I can remember
Yeah.
the concert from 2 days ago much better than 20 years ago.
Yes, for
but
sure.
but I just remember how beautiful it was there.
The gorge is an amazing thing. And yes, you're right. People do call that the Mecca. It is the only 3-night show on tour,
Yep.
period. We wish there were more of them, but that is for now the only 3-night stand. It is in the middle of nowhere. So
Yes.
lots of camping, RVs. You can drive in and drive out to the shows and stay a little further away if you're into Airbnbs and hotels and things like that. But it
Mhm.
is a great way to get to know the community, the music that the band plays at the Gorge every year. I mean, if you think about it, you've got the possibility of, let's just, for easy numbers, let's just say 20 songs a night. Well, that's 60 completely different songs. Where
Absolutely.
else can you get that guarantee?
I know.
Nowhere, right? Nowhere.
Although
It's phenomenal.
I'm going to throw something funny at you. I wrote it down so I didn't forget it because I thought this was like a cool, interesting fact. So if you go back to the Gorge of 2004 and look at the 3 set lists in a row, I don't know why this happened, but there's a song that is played all 3 nights.
Oh, wow. What is it?
Joyride must have been really new to them at that time. They must have
Mhm.
just premiered it that summer. But if you go back and look at the set lists, they played it on September 3rd, September 4th, and September 5th of that tour, which is
Wow.
wild because they never do that. You never get a duplicate song ever. So I thought that was
Wow.
kind of interesting that
That
Joyride
is
shows
some
up all
history
3
that I
nights.
did not know.
Mhm. I don't
Wow.
know the reasoning behind it. It's just an interesting little tidbit there. But I agree with you. That's why I go to so many shows. I get asked that question all the time. Why another Dave Matthews Band concert? And my rationale to them, and this is what I use to my wife as well. So as I mentioned before, I have a bunch of Yankee stuff behind me. So my dad and I were season ticket holders for the Yankees for like 25 years.
Wow.
there were seasons where we would probably go to like 50 baseball games a season. We were obsessed with them. So now all I did was take this obsession from the Yankees and apply it to Dave Matthews Band. So if you go to a
Yes.
Yankee game, you're not going to see the same baseball game twice. So that's why I go
Right.
to as many Dave Matthews Band concerts, because I know I'm never going to see the same show twice ever. There might be
Right.
a couple songs that show up here and there once in a while, but overall, like you could take all 126 set lists and put them side by side. You will never find anything remotely close to each other. And that's the biggest thing that I tell people. Just go to as many shows as you can. You're never going to see the same thing twice. It's awesome. It's such a good experience.
That's right. And another reason is when you go to a Dave Matthews Band show, your team wins every time, right? If
Oh
you
yeah,
go to a
no
sporting
doubt.
event, you might win, you might not, who knows? But a Dave
Yep,
Matthews Band show, your team wins every time.
yep, 1,000%. So my path is kind of interesting. So I don't know what happened in 2009 and 2010, but let me give a shout out first of all to DMB Hub. If
Yes.
you're watching this podcast and you do not have an account with them, you're missing out, because I go on there probably at least once or twice a day. Just when I'm curious, I'm like, oh, how many times have I heard that song live? When's
Right.
the last time I heard this song? How many times overall have I heard this song? So it's fun to go back and look at your history in that
It
respect.
is. It
But
is.
for some reason in 2009 and 2010, I kind of stopped seeing them for a couple years.
Mhm. That happens.
There wasn't really anything that happened where I was like offended by a song or offended by something they said or anything like that. There was nothing
Right.
specific that really caused me to do it. But it's wild because I had seen them, pretty regularly every summer. In 2009, I only saw them twice on a spring tour. I didn't go to any summer shows that summer. And then in 2010, I went to one show at Madison Square Garden. So it was like a little weird blip on the radar there.
Sure.
But
But you
thank
got two
God.
shows in. That's
Yeah,
great.
right. But thank God the Caravan showed up in 2011. So I live pretty close to Governor's Island in New York. So going back to the Caravan time, thank God they set up those for the summer, because I had gone to or planned to go to all three shows at Governor's Island, made it to the first show. Then there was a hurricane that shut down the next two shows. So they
Oh,
delayed it a
God.
couple weeks to Randall's Island, which is also in the same general area. And then I got three shows out of that, plus a Dave and Tim set. So
Wow.
that was kind of like the spark that got me back into it.
Now, was that your first time to hear Dave and Tim together, or had you heard
I had
these?
seen them a few years prior. There was a concert that they did. I don't remember all the specifics, but they did a show at West Point in New York.
Uh-huh.
So I had seen them there. So it was, but to be honest, like at Randall's Island, it was an early set. I want to say it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was on this
Oh.
tiny little side stage. So there were
Uh-huh.
not a lot of people there. So I was super close to the stage, and
Wow.
hearing them kind of like talk back and forth and play with each other. It was nice to see that in more of the intimate setting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know people say when they go to Mexico, you kind of get that too if you're able to get closer to the stage. I haven't been able to do that yet, but
Yeah.
just kind of seeing them in that setting was really neat. But I think that was
Absolutely.
the spark that kind of got me back into it. It was like, all right, I'm getting to see these guys in a chunk again. I saw them in like 4 shows over a month, and I kind of got the fire burning again. And then I was
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the interesting things about Dave Matthews Band. If you're listening to this and you've never really gotten into them, like we talked about earlier with the Gorge, they never play the same songs, but even from concert to concert, it's a different set list every night. And even if, which this has never happened, I don't think, but even if they played the same show on Tuesday and Wednesday in different cities, even if they played the exact same songs, it
Mhm.
would sound completely different.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
another cool thing about the band is that's why they call this a jam band. They know what song they're playing, but they're not reading music. They're just letting it flow. They're putting in the pieces that they feel at the time is right for that. And so, you could listen to two steps and
Mhm.
they will sound different. And that's another cool thing about this band is you could see them 45 times in a row and really just have 45 different experiences.
Yeah, you never hear a song come on and you're like, "Oh, we're gonna hear this song again."
Yeah.
Because you said it's played differently every single time, so I
Hmm.
feel like that definitely helps.
It
That's also one of
definitely
the
does.
reasons why when people ask me what other people do I go see in concert, I don't. Not not to throw any groups under the band Bon Jovi, but there was a year where I went to see them at Madison Square Garden. And what I love about Dave Matthews is also you don't know what songs they're going to play, right? Because they mix it up so
Right.
much. So I was stupid and I had looked at the set list that Bon Jovi had played the night before. And I looked at the songs and I was like, oh, this is a great set list. So I went the following night and it was the exact order, the exact song, everything. And I
Mm-hmm.
could kind of tell he was like cashing it in for the night. I feel bad for him because he had to cancel or make his concert go short last night because he's having some vocal issues. So I don't want to trash talk John Bon Jovi today, but
Right.
that definitely caused me to rethink how I'm spending money towards concerts. I would rather put it
Right.
towards a band or a group where I don't know exactly what's coming that night. And you're always kind of surprised by what you see.
That's
I
right.
just
And
I don't like paying a lot of money to go see something that I know is going to happen.
I
Like
agree. I
I'm not going to
agree.
pay $100 to go watch Avengers Endgame for the 50th time. Like
Right.
I know Tony Stark dies at the end of it. So
Yeah,
I'm not, you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
it's not going to change. So
Right.
if I know Bon Jovi's playing this exact set list or any band, throw in anybody.
Right.
I'm like, all right, I could pass that night. I'd rather go see Dave Matthews again.
That's right. I would dare to say that most artists that go on tour do play the same set lists
Yeah.
every time. And you know, that's very common. So to tell people, and I think that's maybe why people don't quite understand the fanhood behind Dave Matthews Band and why so many people try to catch them as many times as possible. Like you said
Yeah.
earlier, why are you going again? Like you've seen the show, you've seen what they do, and
Right.
they're thinking in their brain they're like everyone else and they play the same set list and do all the same everything, but it is just not that way. So getting to explain that to people, it's almost as if they don't understand or get it. Like, what are you talking about? But also
Yeah.
they don't understand the catalog that the band has. They have the ability to do so. You know, I often wonder, like, if you took their whole catalog and they played, you know, at Gorge or whatever, of course it would have to be more than 3 nights, but like how many nights would it take for you to sing your whole catalog?
Hmm.
How many nights would it take? And dude, I would be there for all of them, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
we're going to hear
I
every
keep
single song.
Yeah. Fish keeps doing these 5-night, 6-night, 7-night tours at Madison Square Garden. I keep waiting for Dave to announce that one day. Or even
Wow.
I know people talk about the Sphere, like doing a residency at the Sphere. Like
Oh,
the same thing. If he did a bunch of times at the Sphere or 10 shows at Madison Square Garden like Fish does, just like you're saying, you might get the whole catalog. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
it stresses me out when people talk about the Sphere. Like I want it to happen so badly. Like I can see it and I know it would be magical. But because
Yeah.
of the way the band plays their music, I would feel like I needed to be at all of them. And we know how expensive it is to go to the Sphere.
Yeah.
Like that's impossible. Plus, I live thousands of miles away from Las Vegas. And so
Yes.
it just doesn't work for me. But we
Yeah.
know that people would be couch touring. If you guys that are listening don't know what couch tour is, it's a
Oh,
group
if you
on
don't know what
Facebook
Couch
where
Tour is, get on it
yeah, if you
now.
don't know, you
It's
got to know. It's
such a
on
game changer.
Facebook. It's amazing. Everyone live
Yes.
stream stuff, but I don't think that a live stream in the Sphere would give it justice
Right.
because where would you focus? I mean, there's literally things all around you. And so
And what's interesting too is, at least my personal opinion is, I always try to get the pit when I go to a Dave Matthews concert if I can.
yeah,
Up until a few years ago, I didn't even try to get the pit. I was like, oh, whatever warehouse gives you, we'll do. But
right.
now when tickets come out, it's like a second job trying to jump on the warehouse boards and trading with people and trying to get as close as
Mhm.
possible. But now that you've been in the pit, it's like impossible to go backwards. But what would be interesting with the Sphere, with the Sphere in Las Vegas, is people say the further back you are, the better it is because you get the whole
Sure.
visual. So I'd be
Sure.
really curious to see what people do. Would they still try
Yeah.
to get it so that you get as close to the band, or do you get further back so you get the whole scope of everything? I'm
I
not
think
sure.
that's what I would do just without knowing anything else is just try to
Yeah.
be in the middle because I do want to be able to look and not that you
Right,
couldn't do
really
that in
look
the
up and
pit,
get
but
the
you would
whole.
almost have to be like turning around away from the band to see
Yeah.
everything. I think that, I mean, it's just a completely different kind of show, just
Mhm.
completely different kind of show. So I don't know. I hope it happens, but I am nervous too.
Yes.
It sounds so stupid, but I'm like, how am I ever going to make it? Like, do I have to live in Vegas for a month? Like, what's going to
Right.
happen? I have to get a
Oh,
job at the Sphere. That's what I would
that's
do. Like,
right.
I just need to get a job here, man.
Be a
I'll help
ticket taker.
usher people in.
Yep, absolutely.
Make money instead of spend money.
So jumping ahead a little bit, my 75th show was the See Here Now Festival in Asbury Park, which again, living in New Jersey, I always try to get to as many local concerts as I can. As long as it's
Yes.
drivable and I feel like I could safely drive back at the end of the night without having to spend money on a hotel or Airbnb or whatever.
Sure.
I generally try to do that. So Asbury Park from me is like 45 minutes. It's an easy in and out. After that concert, COVID happened. That
Oh,
concert was September 2019. So they had planned on doing a summer tour in 2020 and had all the dates and everything lined up. And then unfortunately COVID happened. And as we all know, the world kind of shut down.
yeah.
So definitely I'm a school administrator. I work in a building.
Mhm.
So seeing the reaction of the kids and the staff and everything, it really messed with our heads for a while, as it
Yes.
did the whole world. But
Yes.
it really caused me to look back and focus on things kind of differently. And I really, again, put a lot of focus on the Dave Matthews Band during that time. I love the fact that during COVID, they would pop on once in a while and do like the at-home concerts.
Yeah.
They put some stuff on their social media of them just playing music and everything. And it was like simple songs, simple things, but like that's what kind of kept me going. It kept me
Yes.
interested and wanting to see kind of where we ended up next.
Yes.
And I also think that kind of forced me to really focus too on seeing them as many times as possible, which is funny to say, but I was at 75 shows when COVID happened, and now I'm at 126. So
Yeah. You put it into high gear there.
yeah, I've been to 51 shows over the last 5.5 years.
That's
So it,
wild. Wild.
yeah. So I think COVID kind of, just like the caravan kind of got me back into it a little bit. I
Mm,
think COVID was like, you never know when the last time you're going to see them is. So
that's
get in
right.
as many as possible.
That's right. There was
So
so much uncertainty during COVID. Would we ever get back to any kind of
yeah,
normality? And, that was our first taste of not having a
and having them
season
in a summer
with
tour.
them, right? I know there was one concert in 2020 for those lucky enough to get to go to Mexico
Mm,
early 2020, but that was it. That was it for that year. And
yeah.
no one knew that was coming, and I'm sure people had plans to do all kinds of things that year, but it didn't happen. And the band really did a great job. Dave, a lot of concert type things at home, and we would just sit in our backyard and make it feel like a concert because that's just all we had. But it felt so intimate, like for him to, he didn't have to do that, right? He didn't have to do that, but that showed at least me and everyone else, not that we didn't already know this, but that he and they love doing what they're doing and that this was hard for them too, right? Like that they loved playing music for people. And so it showed me a different side of the band. And, I never want to go through that again, but we definitely learned a lot of things during that time. And we were so thankful in 2021 when they came back on tour.
Yes, for sure. And then after that, we kind of led to my 100th concert, which was kind of cool. Circling back to artwork, I'm not totally thrilled with the poster from that night, but the set list from that night was incredible. It ended up being in Camden, New Jersey, which is a yearly stop for them.
Awesome.
July of 2023. The poster that night was some funky dinosaur Back to the Future poster.
Yeah.
So I would love to listen to that podcast and hear if they have a rationale behind that, because I'm very curious
Right.
why that was
Right.
the poster.
Yeah.
But regardless, it all worked out. It was a great
Maybe there were
show.
dinosaurs in New Jersey once upon a time. Who knows what
Maybe,
that's about, right?
maybe it was kind of wild. Actually, if you don't mind, I'll travel for a second. I have to show you the
Oh,
poster.
yeah, let's see it.
No, I have to
I
show
was
you.
at that show myself. That
Were
was
you?
the one and only time I've been to Camden was 2023. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's like
didn't
a
get
very,
that poster.
it's like a very, the only reason I got it is because it was my 100th show. But
That's wild.
it's
But
a very,
also, I guess for dinosaur lovers, that
yeah.
would have been like the ultimate.
Hmm. So
Wow.
this is
Yeah.
my, as I was saying before, when you come down my staircase. So that's
Oh,
where all
this
my
is
posters,
awesome. Look at
lists
all of
are.
that.
I
It's
have
done
some.
very well. Did you do that yourself?
I did, yeah. Yep.
Wow. It's not very easy to, like, I have a lot of posters up. I have 3 more waiting to be placed somewhere, but it becomes a game of like, where do we put these things?
Yes.
If you give
Yes.
very many and you have to get kind of creative. It's like, what do I want to fill my whole house?
Right.
No, because like my kids would not appreciate that,
Yeah.
You
I
try
have
to
a
keep
couple
it in a
hanging in my
space,
office
right?
at work.
Good.
Yeah. And then my in-laws have a shore house down at the Jersey Shore. So
Uh-huh.
luckily, Jones Beach posters every year are generally some kind of ocean theme.
Oh,
So
yes.
I convinced them to let me hang a couple of them in their shore
Oh,
house
that's
too, because it has the
perfect.
ocean feel.
That's
So
perfect.
the love
Yeah.
is spreading. I'm trying to get in as many homes as I can.
Yes. So 100th show, that's a big deal. It's a
Yep.
really big deal
And they opened
because,
up the Dreaming Tree, which
oh, wow.
going back to our conversation before these crowded streets being like the top album for me, that was just
Yes.
perfect. That was the opening song. I was like, this is it.
Wow.
This is unreal.
It was built for you. It kind of felt like it,
Right.
right? Minus the dinosaur poster.
That's right.
So the set list, anything stick out that, besides Dreaming Tree, was there anything that was unexpected for you that you remember in that show that really kind of highlighted it?
Uh, no, not really. That I would say
No,
Dreaming Tree was probably the top
that
song.
was the highlight. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
that
it
makes so much
kicked it off.
sense.
It was awesome. Yeah, so that was cool. And now I'm at
100
126.
shows.
Yep.
I have not reached 100 shows yet. And again, I like to explain shows does not equal the level of fanhood that you
Oh
are.
no,
You can be a
definitely not.
great fan and have been to 0 shows. But for those of us that do go and do count, and how I count, of course, is also using the hub, the DMB hub, which has an app that you can get. It is put together by antsmarching.com, which also has a podcast. So definitely check them out. But it's a way that you can either even go back and record shows you were at. You can start now. It doesn't have to be something that you've kept up with. You can, if you have a fairly decent memory and you think you can remember all of the things, which I had a hard time with that a little bit, but I think I've nailed it down. And so I'd have to look for sure, but I want to say I'm at 86.
Okay, that's awesome.
So in the somewhere near 90. So, I don't know when my 100th show will be for sure, but
But when you
um,
move to Vegas, once they announce the Las Vegas residency, then you'll hit it there.
when I
You'll hit
get
it
my
at the
job at the Sphere, I'm
that
not even
counts.
joking, yo. That's how I could afford that.
Yeah.
I'll be an usher. I'll do it.
So what's considered your home venue? Is there any, like what's geographically
Yeah.
what's the closest for you?
So Rogers, Arkansas, they last visited here in 2023. They were actually scheduled to be here this year, 2026. We have some connections with the Walmart Amp just because we live close and we know some people that work for them doing the scheduling and stuff. And so we got word that they were scheduled to be here, but it did get canceled. And I don't blame them one bit because that was the time that they went to Disney and did the
Oh,
Disney show. And,
yep.
that was magical for them and magical for the people that got to go. And I'm sure it paid a lot more than
Yes.
Rogers, Arkansas would. But, hopefully they'll come back maybe next year just because, man, I was telling everybody I had planned a party like before, like I just knew it was happening. I was like, come on, guys, like book your airfare, like, the whole thing. And it didn't happen. But Rogers, Arkansas, they've been to the venue. I don't know how old it is. Not that old, but their first time playing here was 2015. Then they played 2018. Then they played 2020, 2023, and then it was going to be 2026. And so, we have to wait to get it here. And that is why if I want to see them on the regular, I have to leave. But thankfully, Texas is very close. So, there's at least every other year the promise of them doing Texas shows. But this has been a really good way for me to, I always joke that Dave Matthews Band is my travel agent. I just kind of go wherever they say to go. And I have never been disappointed. Never
Mhm.
been disappointed. I've got to see so many beautiful places around the United States and in Mexico. It's blown my mind and I'm so thankful. But yeah,
This was
that's
the
how I have to
first
do it if I
year.
want to see them.
Yeah. This was my first year that I convinced my wife that we should go on a family trip.
Uh-huh.
So this was the first year we went up to New Hampshire. So my first time going to Guilford, which was incredible.
Got great
But
shows.
that's how I got to go to Guilford. I said, "Hey, why don't we go on a family trip up to New Hampshire?" And then at night, when the kids are going to sleep, I'll just slip away for a little while.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Yeah,
sure,
they
why
won't even
not?
know.
We'll go to the beach, we'll do restaurants, whatever. So we spent all day doing stuff. And then 6 o'clock, I slipped out the door and went to see 2 Dave Matthews concerts. So
Amazing. And you got
yeah, I
two
think
great
that's our
shows.
plan now. They were fantastic shows. But that's going to be my thing now. Every summer, I'm going to find another place and be like, oh, they're playing in West Palm, Florida. Why don't we go there? Oh, they're playing in Rogers,
Exactly.
Arkansas. Let's go check out Arkansas. We've never been
Hey,
down
you
there.
never know. It's the mountain bike capital of the world. Did you
That's
know
right.
that about this place? Like, we're in the middle of the mountains. It's a beautiful place to come to, and a lot cheaper to visit Arkansas than, say, LA. Well, going to a show in LA. Well,
Right.
LA has a lot of great things and all that. New York, great things and all that. But like, there's the cost associated with that. The hotels are expensive. The
Yeah.
food is expensive, just everything in general. So I never discount small town concerts. I went in 2023. I did 24 shows that year.
Oh, that's
That
amazing.
year, it was a whirlwind, and I don't even know how it was a whirlwind, but amazing. They played Rogers, Arkansas. And then after that, they went to Mississippi. And there's two places they visit in Mississippi, and I can't remember, but it was just south of Memphis. And so we did not have tickets. We were just like, we'll buy tickets when we get there. Just it felt like it was at a county farm. Like it was just a small little place. The venue was a medium size, and I got a pit ticket for $30.
Oh, that is amazing.
Just, showed up and bought a pit for $30. And I was like, never discount these small little shows, because you might have the time of your life.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, travel around. It's definitely it's so much fun, and they have led me on such a journey of trying out places I would have never gone to. I mean, I don't think I would have ever been to Noblesville, Indiana without Dave Matthews Band, because there's not a lot going on in Noblesville proper. A lot of corn production there, a lot of corn production, but we got corn here. So I don't think I would have ever gone, but it's such a magical place to see Dave Matthews Band in the middle of a cornfield. What? It's crazy. I love traveling and seeing this band.
Yeah. That's on my list of places I want to see them. And also Darien Creek. Is that where they played last
Darien
night?
Lake.
Darien Lake.
Yes.
Yeah. The person who was doing the stream on Couch Tour kept showing the roller coaster right next door to it, because I guess there's a Six Flags right next to where the amphitheater is. So he would
family vacay.
Right, you would see this roller coaster going. So I'm like, hey, I'm in. Let's figure that out.
Yes, that's a great family vacation for you, right?
That's right. Yep. Added that to my list right away.
Leave them at the park, sneak out, and just go and be like, I'll meet you back at the hotel. That's great. That's another venue I'd really like to go to. There are just so many, and I am very envious of the Upper East Coast. Of course, that's kind of the area where they started, Virginia, and so they just play so much on that side of the state.
I feel very fortunate that there's so many venues that are drivable.
Yes.
For me personally, like within 2 hours, 2.5 hour drive, I've got Hartford, I've got Saratoga Springs, I've got Jones Beach, I've got Homedale, I've got Camden. Maryland is probably a little closer to 3.5, but that's doable. Bristol, Virginia is like 4. So they're all generally like easy to get to.
Sure.
And of course, I've got the Garden. I've got Madison Square Garden right here too.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's on a bucket list for sure. So speaking of Madison Square Garden, I mean, that usually happens during a fall tour. And like I spoke about earlier, this year we're celebrating 35 years of this band playing music. This year is the 35th anniversary. And I have to admit that I really haven't seen anything in social media where the band has talked about that, like celebrate this, 35 years, there really hasn't been any conversation, but here's why I think they haven't. I do think that there'll be a fall tour this year that will celebrate 35 years. And so, that really opens up the conversation to Madison Square Garden again this year. Hopefully Charlottesville, I think it'll be a lot of East Coast shows again. But what do you think? Just based on that, do you feel like 35 years calls for some kind of celebration?
I think they need to do that 10-night fish tour at Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden that we were talking about
Oh my
before.
gosh. I'm going to have to get a job at
If it's
MSG
35
now.
years, let's do 35 shows.
My
Make it really
God.
good. I mean, Taylor Swift just rented out Madison Square Garden, so Dave Matthews Band
I
should get it
know,
for a nice
right?
chunk of time.
Right?
I keep
Everyone
every
talks about.
time. Yeah, it's funny. Every time it gets around this time of the year, when the NBA and the NHL release their schedules, the first thing I do is look at the Rangers and the Knicks to see dates in November if there's weekends where they're both free.
So tell us, what does it look like?
So they haven't put out the NBA schedule yet. That doesn't come out
Okay.
for another couple weeks. But
Okay.
right now, the weekend of November 13th, 14th, and 2021, back-to-back weekends, the Rangers are either away or off. So those are 2 weekends where it looks like it could happen.
Whoa.
And then we just got to wait for the next schedule to come out. And if any of those weekends are free, that's usually when Dave will be there. So
November 14th is my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've never been to MSG.
I would book
This might be the year.
start booking some refundable hotels now.
Gosh. Oh my goodness. That's like, Renee, you should be there. It's like,
Yes. Especially if they're doing a big 35th celebration.
oh
And your
my
birthday,
gosh,
it's all,
yes.
all coming
And
together.
let's see. Yes, it's not a major birthday. I mean, hey, I think every day that I wake up is a blessing, but I'm only turning, what am I turning? I'm turning 47 this year. So,
Oh,
I'll celebrate 47. Thank God. A lot of people don't make it to 47. But what a way that would be is to hang out with the people I love and see the band that I love so much in a place I've never been to before, but I've heard, all the good things. And it does have cooler points to me now that Taylor Swift got married there.
That's right.
Because I'm a Taylor Swift fan. So it's cool points for sure. So
That's awesome.
have you visited any shows this year? What does this year look like for you?
So I've done 9 shows this year so far.
That's right. That's right.
I started out at Forest Hills, which is a little tennis center in Queens, New York. Went down to Bristow, Virginia to visit my friend Sean, who I had talked about before. He lives in Virginia now. So that was an easy drive down in the morning, go to the concert, drive home the next morning. That was an easy in and out. Went to 2 at Camden, 2 at Guilford, 2 at Saratoga Springs. And now I'm patiently waiting for Wednesday's makeup for the Jones Beach concert.
Jones Beach. Yeah.
And then that's it until the fall tour, which I'm okay with. It's been a very good summer. There's been a lot of songs that not necessarily were on a bucket list because after 126 shows, I've heard almost every song I've wanted to, but I was thrilled that this summer I got to hear Dreaming Tree again. I got to hear Halloween at SPAC. Feeling pretty good about the shows that I got to see this year so far.
For sure. Are there any rare songs out there that you just go, I'd love to hear it, but if it doesn't happen, it probably won't happen? Like, are there any of those songs in your head?
I was really frustrated when I heard Long Black Veil come on last night or 2 nights ago. That's one that's classic. I love that song, and they don't play it that often. So I would say that's probably one that I would like to find.
Yes.
For a long time, it was American Baby because they hadn't played that for a while. And now I think I've heard it 4 times this summer. So I'm good with American Baby.
Yeah.
I would say Long Black Veil is probably the one. If I had to pick one, that's probably it right now.
Well, I hope that you get it. You never know. There's so many, like, because of their catalog, they have so much that they can't sing. And in general, like,
it seems like they're bringing up one rare song every show. So I feel like because they just played that it'll be a while before we hear that song again. But you never know. That's why we have DMB Hub, so I can hop on and listen to it whenever I want.
That's right. That's right. I am really chasing 2 songs. I've forever and ever have been chasing Crazy Easy. The last time that was played was at night 3 of the Gorge in 2013. Previous to that, it had only been played in 04 and 05, which was the year that they kind of released it out to the world live. It's never made an album. I love Crazy Easy. I think it's an amazing song. And with the people that are currently in the band, I feel like it could be amazing, amazing. Second to that, I'd really like to hear Gaucho. It hasn't been played in a very long time. And I think it's such an appropriate song for the years that we are currently living in. And so that one, I just wonder, like, Dave, this is perfect. Why are y'all not singing it? And I know so many people are chasing it too, but you know what? That's why we keep watching. That's why we keep listening, is because you
Yep.
never know what you're going to get with this band. And that
Yep.
to me is just like the coolest feeling. And it just keeps me on the edge of my seat all of the time. And I can genuinely say, like, no other band has done this for me.
Mhm.
Most bands in general don't last this long. The
Right.
height of them is never this long. But this band has just never had a bad decade, again, in my opinion. And so I am so excited to still be living in a time where there is the music of Dave Matthews Band. And I hope that it continues for a while longer.
Yes, I agree. And I want to
Yeah.
congratulate you on your recent What Would You Play on Sirius XM.
Thank you.
I was lucky enough to have it done a couple of years ago. So
Super
we're part of the
fun.
same
Wasn't
club.
it fun?
It was,
It's
yes.
it's fun. It is a little stressful just because, like, five songs.
Yes.
Oh my
How do you
goodness.
narrow that down? Right.
5 songs, and so I did a few that I liked, and then I did a few that I just thought were very appropriate. Gaucho was the number one song that I played in first position, just because, again, I think it's such a song for the times, and I learned something about Gaucho that I didn't know. So if you listen to the studio album of Gaucho, which it actually is on an album, you just don't ever hear it. At the very end, the children sing towards the end, and I never thought about who those children were, but I heard. Now, I haven't fact checked this, but I'm sure it is probably correct because it makes sense that Dave went to his girls' school, and the girls' class actually are
Wow.
the singers in the end of that song.
Oh,
So
that is
I
cool.
love
Very cool.
that. I love that story. So really, really cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's an exciting time. That was so much fun. I hope everyone got to listen to it. I recorded it so that I could have it, because it's like one of those things. Once it's off the air, I think they keep it on for
Right.
like
Then
one
you
or 2
never
weeks, and then
you can
it's
really have it.
gone. It's just gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, 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 no. If anyone ever comes and says, "Hey, I missed it," I'll be like, "Let me send it to you right now." I've got
Right.
it. Whether that's right, wrong, or whatever, I recorded it. But yeah, this year is an exciting year, 35 years. I have two technically shows left during this tour. That's Denver. I love a good Denver show. I love Denver in general. It's such a beautiful city, even though Denver can be excruciatingly hot. It can be really hot, and you wouldn't think that because you're so high up, but you're
Yeah.
closer to the sun as well. And so
Right.
it is really hot, but that is the last show for me that I am aware of and that I have paid for. So, and then after tour, of course, that starts up festival season a little bit. I know they're doing several festivals, and so one that we're going to is Bourbon and Beyond. I went to Bourbon and Beyond 2 years ago and really said, "Hey, I don't think I'll ever go back," just because it's on a fairground and there's no shade, like zero shade. And so when you think about being out in the middle of Kentucky with no trees, the sun
Okay.
it's just more than one should ever do.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
it's 4 days, I believe. I think it was 3 or 4 days, and it just was a lot. And so, but here I am signing up again for it again, because the lineup is truly just so amazing. Of course, Dave Matthews Band will be there, but so many other amazing artists that we could not do it. So
yeah.
we're going back, and that's kind of the plans for this year. But of course, that may all change if they do a November 14th show at Madison Square Garden. That'll be my birthday present. Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show and just sharing your journey. I've loved hearing it, how you fit in so many shows and basically what I think is, I mean, it's a long time, but it's also, you think about you're working and you have a family and all of the other things in life, like the ability to fit all that in and to continue falling more in love with the span and still have chasers and still even just have the desire to want to go see them again. I love that story. So I can't thank you enough for hopping on a podcast and sharing it with me and everyone that's going to listen to this.
No, thank you very much. I am honored to be here. It's funny that when you see people in the pit or people at shows, like it really is a big family. Everybody knows each other. Like everybody follows each other on social media and everything.
Yes.
I kind of feel like I'm just there taking it all in,
Yeah.
I interact with people, but I'm not like going out of my way the way everybody's like giving each other hugs and
Sure.
everything.
Sure.
I just kind of sit back and take it all in. So people who watch this probably have seen me at 100 of the shows and have no idea who I am. And that's fine too. I'm okay with that. I'm good with just being an outsider watching everything.
That's
So
right.
I definitely appreciate you having me on. And it was a lot of fun talking
Absolutely.
about my love for the band.
Yes.
It's funny that you said an hour goes fast. It certainly does. A couple of the shows we didn't even get to talk about was Central Park,
Oh my
Madison
goodness,
Square
were you
Garden,
at Central Park?
the Central Park.
Oh
I
my
was at the
goodness.
Madison Square Garden show when James Brown came out and sang Sex Machine with Dave.
Wow.
We didn't even get into all that. An hour goes really, really fast.
It does go really fast. Like, yeah, when you're talking about Dave, it is an hour is nothing
I
because
know.
I really think that we could turn this into easily a two, if we went into rabbit holes, 3 hour. I mean, like, because people that like to talk about Dave can just do it all day. But that's the cool thing and how we are so easily able to talk to other people that also have that same passion is because there's 35 years of things that we can talk about, right? And then here come the feelings and here comes I remember this happened at that tailgate and it was hilarious or whatever. And so, it's not very long, but I definitely invite you to come back on the show. You'll have to leave some notes saying, hey, I was at these shows. I didn't get to talk about it because your story's not finished. You're still going to shows. You still love this band and hopefully we have them for a very long time. So I invite you to come back on after you've got a little bit more history underneath your belt, and then we'll record that as well and share that with everyone. This is a great souvenir, I think, for you, in 20 years, 30 years, whatever. Hey, maybe next year, it'll be fun to go back and, show your kids when they're older, like this is what dad really was into, in this time frame in this life. And so it's a forever souvenir. Your stories are forever written down, if you will, and for you to visit later. And so again, just thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you. And hopefully I'll see you in November at Madison Square Garden.
Hey, I hope to be there. I really do. We're putting it into the universe now. I'm going to tell my husband, I think it's going to happen on November 14th. And that's like Dave saying, hey, happy birthday, Renee. Like, come on.
That's right.
Well, guys, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can also watch this on YouTube. It's simply under the Space Between podcast. If you do watch this on YouTube, if you could subscribe to the channel, of course, that helps push it out. And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, simply just write a small review. You can put how many ever words you want. You can just put, it's a great show, but that enables it to spread to people that are also listening to similar type Dave Matthews Band related podcasts or music. This will push them out directly to those people because that's who's interested in listening to this is other Dave fans. So also just word of mouth. If you know somebody that would love to share their story, definitely push them my way. Say, hey, there's a girl that wants to hear it. She would love to talk with you about that and also make a souvenir for you for your future. So guys, send anybody this way. Again, this show doesn't work without each of you. So I invite you all to be on the show. It's just as simple as sending me an email, and that email is in the show notes, whether you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube. But guys, I will see you in Denver. But in the meantime, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.